Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the fourth International Conference on ASEAN MRA-TP 2023. I hope you all had a wonderful lunch and ready to continue with this conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, next in our agenda is the third panel discussion with the topic of Global Challenges, Quality Standards and Certification from the representatives of William Anglis, Simolek, and Wyndham Hotel and Resorts.
This session will be led by Dr. Rahmat Darmawan from Medan Tourism Polytechnic as our third moderator. Good afternoon, Dr. Rahmat.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon.
All right. Waalaikumsalam and good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. How about you?
I'm good too. Thank you. All right, Dr. Rahmat.
Yep.
Without any further ado, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I know this is the critical time. It's about 15 minutes to 2 in the afternoon. Have you got lunch? All right. Have you been sleepy? All right, now wake up. Ladies and gentlemen, all distinguished guests, let me introduce myself. I am Rahmat Darmawan. I am from Medan Tourism Polytechnic under the Ministry of Tourism and Economy Creative. And I'm here as the moderator for my three outstanding speakers. I'd like to introduce one of the speakers. Online we have from William Anglis, Mr. Wayne Crosby. Are you there, Mr. Crosby?
I certainly am, yes.
Mr. Wayne Crosby is one of the executive management team. Hi there, Mr. Crosby. Yep, he is one of the speakers. He's a director international and business development at William Anglis Institute. And for your also information that this institution is very outstanding to initiate the MRA-TP since before 2010. So give applause for Mr. Wayne Crosby. Now we are looking forward to having your presentation soon. Now the second one, I'd like to invite my buddy, Mr. Dr. Wahyudi. Come forward, please. He's a director of Simolek. Do you know Simolek? You have no idea? You can find it from the internet. But it's actually a regional intergovernmental organization. And he is the director of Southeast Asian Minister of Education Organization, Simolek. And one of his jobs is actually to promote regional cooperative among Asian members in education, science, and culture. He has many experiences abroad, Asia Pacific, Europe, and Australia. And his PhD is dealing about science. So give applause for Mr. Dr. Wahyudi. Thank you. Sit down, Pak. And the next one, this is also my lovely country, Mr. Pamuji Slamet, Master of Science. Please welcome, sir. Excuse me, Pak Pumaji. I should introduce you first to all the audience. He is the Director of Development, Southeast Asia and Pacific, Wyndham Hotel and Resorts. He is the alumni of BPLP Bandung. All right. So this session Sit down, sir. Sorry. Very smart, very short, but very tajam, yeah, very sharp. Okay, this session we are going to talk about the globalization, the global trends about the certification, and how we face the global trend. And now we provide you with 3 different outstanding speakers. Okay, one from the industry, Mr. from Windham Industry, and then 2 other from outstanding organizational institution, from William English and from CMA. Yeah, this is, I have to say, CMA, 2 from institutional and 1 from industry. All right, I think this all. And now, after that, please have a question. I give you 4 or 5 questions, 1 for offline and 4 for online. Terbalik ya. 4 offline, 1 online. Thank you so much. And time for you, Pak William, Pak Wayne Crosby from William English. It's time for you to present your paper and your presentation. Please do. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that introduction, and I'm very pleased to be joining you all today. I must say that I would have preferred to be there in person, but that wasn't possible. So the next best option, particularly in this day and age, is to join online. Now, I hope technology is going to smile upon me as I endeavour to share my screen with you. I hope that is now coming up loud and clear, is it? I'll proceed and hope that you are able to see my presentation and hear my commentary. I've been asked to talk today a little bit about the global challenges of quality standards and certification, and particularly in light of the global pandemic that we have all just been through. And given that my organisation and myself personally were heavily involved in the development of the MRA-TP framework, I thought it appropriate to make a few comments on the framework and its implementation. And I must say it was very pleasing today to be listening to colleagues whom I'd all met previously, who were providing insights into how their countries were implementing the MRA-TP framework. Just a very quick background on William English Institute and probably why we've been asked to participate in today's conference. We are a specialist centre for tourism, hospitality, food and events. And although we are an Australian organisation, we operate in quite a number of different countries around the world, but particularly in the ASEAN region, having campuses in Singapore, in China, in Sri Lanka, in Vietnam and in Thailand. We deliver both vocational and higher education training programs, and we also provide consulting services to industry, governments and other education providers. We have a long list of clients that I won't go into, simply to say that we work with just about all of the major international hotel groups, international airlines, asset management companies, and certainly relevant here was our relationship with the ASEAN Secretariat that began in 2005 and continued for 15 or so years as we helped develop the MRA-TP framework with stakeholders from all of the countries and all of the 10 ASEAN member states. And I have to say it was a fantastic experience, and I met lots and lots of wonderful people, but people who were committed to improving the standards of tourism and hospitality education and training in the ASEAN region. We have heard today that the industry and the world has certainly suffered, unlike we have suffered before through the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think it's fair to say that the tourism industry was probably hit hardest almost than any other industry sector over that 3-year period of time. And what it meant was that our industry was decimated. A lot of industry organisations were shut down. Those that remained open lost a lot of their very skilled staff who went into other industry sectors where employment and business provided better opportunities than our own tourism and hospitality industry. And what that has meant is that as the industry begins to open up, the industry has had to recruit again. And it's had to recruit people who perhaps haven't had as much experience in the industry and don't have the skills and knowledge required to do the job. So there has been a significant change in the way organisations hire and recruit people. And if I give examples that I'm very familiar with in Australia, our industry was hurt so badly that anybody who wants a job in the tourism and hospitality industry can now get one. A lot of the new hires have had no industry experience at all and have had no education and training at all. So retaining, or firstly recruiting and then retaining people in our industry is going to be one of the biggest issues that we all have to face together. It's going to be a challenge, but I have absolute confidence if we do work together, that challenge will be met. We will have a lot of younger new entrants into the industry, and those new entrants have had a life-changing experience through COVID, and they are going to expect a better work-life balance, and they expect to be mentored in the workplace, and they expect that the organisations that employ them are going to help them develop and fast-track a career. Whether those expectations are real or not, that remains to be seen. There is no doubt technology will have a more important role to play in industry and also in everyday life. Excuse me, but with the industry perspective, what technology is really designed to do is to remove some of the inefficiencies in operations, particularly in the back office area, so that the customer experience is going to be optimised. And although our industry has suffered greatly with the pandemic and staff shortages, consumers are desperate to travel again. And they are both business and leisure travellers, have a strong desire to experience travel, tourism, hospitality, and everything that our industry has to offer. So we have industry with staffing issues. We have consumers who are travelling in unprecedented numbers. And if you try and get seats on planes at the moment, those of you who are endeavouring to do that will know it's much more difficult to get a seat on a plane than it was previously. And the fares are much higher than they were previously. So there are some challenges there. But all that means is that education and training institutions like ours at William Angliss, and for a lot of the organisations in the room and online today, we need to keep pace with innovation, and we need to keep abreast of what new industry requirements are, and we have to work with industry to make sure we meet those requirements. And that's going to mean a change for us all. There has been a great deal of research done on what future skills of an ideal employee are going to look like. And it's not just about skills and knowledge to do the job that they are going to be employed for. Research is telling us that communication skills are going to be incredibly important. and that includes listening. It means listening to fellow workers. It means listening to the needs of our customers and be able to communicate the correct message to them, sometimes when there are really difficult situations to deal with. The need for professional skills is never going away. It is always going to be there, but those professional skills need to be enhanced, and those skills required to do jobs for the future are going to be slightly different than what they were in the past. And perhaps the biggest example of that is about leadership skills. And it's really transformational leadership skills that are going to be required. It's going to be skills that managers and employees are going to need to have so that they can lead change to meet the challenges of customers that are looking for higher standards of product and higher standards of service, even though there's been a big gap in the professional qualifications and background of a lot of industry employees now. We've got to be able to work together in teams. We need to be able to cooperate to get the outcomes that industry and consumers are looking for. Problem solving is going to be important. Creativity and innovation are skills that are going to be demanded by both employers and also customers. And our employees are going to need to be multi-skilled. They need to be culturally aware. They need to be able to plan and analyse, and they've got to have good language skills. And we shouldn't forget that personal characteristics of honesty and integrity with a passion for our wonderful industry are certainly going to continue to be important. Now, what does that mean for education and training providers? And I'll use the royal we. We as education and training providers, we need to adapt to the changing environment and the different needs of the participants who are going to enter our industry. So as well as the technical skills and competencies required to do the job, employees are going to need training for the future skills that are going to be required. And learning is going to be more of a strategic imperative than ever because of the rapidly changing industry environment. We will have to ensure that we provide a responsive learning and developing environment to train people for the future skills and capabilities that they will need. I mentioned before that leadership training is going to be important for all staff, that it's transformational leadership, the ability to be able to lead change, that's going to be more important than what we've been used to as transactional leadership, which is more about leading people in their day-to-day jobs. What that's going to mean for our courses. Our courses are going to need to be more industry focused. And we've heard today about a number of countries going down the micro-credentials path. There is no doubt that industry and employees, both current and potential, will be looking for micro-credentials, skill sets, and they want those shorter courses to be available in a much more flexible way. So we've got to provide a range of learning environments. It's going to be workplace environments. It's going to be online environments. It's going to be classroom environments. People will want to do it on mobile devices, and they want it anytime they want it and everywhere they want it. So no longer will we be able to open up our doors as a training institute and say, please come and join our classes, because our customers are going to want a very different environment. The final part of this mini session is I regularly get asked, because William Angliss was so involved with the development of the MRA-TP framework, are the standards still aligned with industry needs? Now, the answer is yes, but there is a big but that goes with that yes. We need to make significant adjustments for new industry sectors. And we've heard today from participants and speakers in other countries who have already developed new sectors of the industry, with SPA and MICE being at the forefront of that development. But there's a whole host of other industry sectors that need that development as well. And whether it's cruise ship or whether it's health or whether it's sports tourism, they all require new skill sets. So the traditional MRA-TP framework is still relevant for the skills required from a practical perspective. Like if you look at the 6 labour divisions, we've still got to produce food, we've still got to serve the food and the beverage, we've got to check people into hotels, and we've got to clean those hotel rooms. We still have to assist people in the tourism sector, from travel agents and tour operators. So all those skills are still required, except they have changed. So these competencies need to be updated for the new skills that are required and the new industry sectors. But we're still going to need the professional and technical skills. We just need to adjust, update, and add to them. One of the key requirements for industry to succeed and for personnel in industry will be for ongoing professional development. And that's going to be a key component of being able to recruit the correct staff and to train them. People and skills are still going to be the most important part of our industry sector. And it's going to be a key factor to ongoing business success. Technology, we've spoken about it before, it's going to make our jobs different. And whether we're talking about artificial intelligence or robotics or big data, we need to include that in our training programs, and we need to adjust the MRA-TP framework for it. Training is more important than ever, because we're going to have people entering the industry with little experience and little skills, but so too are ethics, values and empathy. And certainly there is a school of thought that professional recognition now is valued more highly than academic qualifications in some areas. And just to finish off, I really have to say that I was so pleased to hear of the developments of the MRA-TP framework in a number of the countries. Myself personally and my organisation is still working with a number of countries in assisting them to implement the MRA-TP. It is a never-ending process. We will never reach the end of it because it's always going to be updated and upgraded. But I also have to say that I agree wholeheartedly in a number of the recommendations that were made by some of the earlier speakers. Hetty, Tina and a couple of others who mentioned that we need to look and evaluate and update the competency standards, the frameworks, the toolboxes, the resources. Certainly a wonderful initiative is a number of the ASEAN member states are cooperating. But what would make it easier is that if there was a regional secretariat for the implementation of the MRA-TP, it would allow more cooperation and it would fast track the implementation of the MRA-TP in all of the ASEAN member states. So I hope a lot of notice is taken of those recommendations, because I think all of them will help enormously in the MRA-TP implementation across the region. And one of the things we've heard is that a lot of the countries are making great strides in their development, but they're doing it individually. They're not doing it from a regional perspective, and they're doing it all themselves, whereas if we cooperated together, we would get a much better outcome much faster. Look, I thank you again for the opportunity of joining this particular forum, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions later on if there are any from the floor and online. Thank you very much for allowing me to participate.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Wayne Crosby. I'd like you to wait for a while because after all the speakers finish, then there will be some questions. Right, ladies, gentlemen, all distinguished guests, speakers. The next one goes to Dr. Wahyudi. Please, Pak, it's time for you now.
Thank you very much, Bapak Dr. Rahmat Darmawan, our delightful moderators. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Are you happy? Not so convincing. Are you okay or KO? No, tourism never KO, right? Okay. First of all, on behalf of Simulec, we'd like to thanks to Ministry of Tourism, the organizer, for inviting us to share, to present our experiences relating to the tourism. As Pak Darman said, anyone knows Simulec? I heard nobody knows, right? Okay. Well, si Molek in bahasa Indonesia means si cantik, right? Molek means cantik, beautiful. Yeah. So pity, nobody knows, Pak. Please, Pak, share the slide, or maybe the slide first. The slide, please. Yeah. Bapak Ibu sekalian, we still have online participants? Yes, good. So meaning I need to speak in English all. Okay. So as Pak Darmawan said that Semolex is, but not this one, but the other one. This is, I already converted this into 2-minute videos. Okay. Do you have the other ones? The 8 slides. Okay. It's okay. So as Pak Darmawan said that Semolex is one of the Semo Center under the auspice of Southeast Asian Ministry of Education organizations based in Bangkok. So we focus on open and distance learnings. And one of the mandate is to promote cooperations among ASEAN +1, Timor-Leste, Bapak, because Timor-Leste is a member of Southeast Simeo. If Pak Wayne Crosby from William English create the MRA-TP and CATC, right, Pak? So we are the one who found it. We are fall in love with it, okay, because of the our task to promote cooperations, collaboration among the ASEAN members. Okay. Are we ready, Mbak? Yeah, please share. Okay. All right. So in these slides, yes, go ahead. And this is like our journey working with CATC. In this slide, this is 26 slides I put in the video, 2-minute video. You can visit later on, Bapak Ibu, okay? So as I mentioned before, we are under Southeast Asia Ministry of Education organizations with the mandate of open distance learnings. And related to the CATC and MRA-TP, we work since 2018. We conduct the feasibility study into some countries like Philippines, Timor-Leste, Vietnam, Cambodia, and of course Indonesia. And it is feasible to conduct so in short, our journey from 2018 up to now, we able to provide online courses based on CATC. All right. Okay. But no, not this one. Not this one. Okay. This is part of the video already. Technology and miscommunication. I just wonder, where is Mr. Communication? Miscommunication, but no Mr. Communications. All right. While we're waiting for this one, so we are able to, Mbak, tadi yang e-learning, could you please share the screen? The e-learnings, yeah. CATC e-learning, Simulate.org. Don't worry, it's okay. Technology, yep. And indeed, Bapak Ibu, Simulate is one of, well, in tourism, there is like the providers. Maybe next slide, Mbak. Next slide. Okay, good. This is the platforms that we developed already. Up, Mbak. Yeah. So you can go to this website and you can register because we already have some courses online. Okay. But maybe for the certification is another matter later on. Okay. Thank you, Mbak. So during our journey, we able to produce the online courses based on CATC, and now as related to the Wayne's presentations, we try to go to for micro credential, so that the professional tourism mobility in the ASEAN regions we can have. Again, we are not the key player for the tourisms, but we are like the connecting dots. Hopefully we have become the enablers of promoting the CATC into 10 ASEAN member countries. Okay. Are you okay, Mbak? Have you got the, not yet? And it's okay, yeah. So, Bapak Ibu sekalian, ladies and gentlemen, Simulex, we just talked to Pak Faisal that we are ready to support because we see that the role of technology very, very important in terms of cutting the budgets, improving the efficiency, and also catching up with the pace of the tourisms. Actually, in my presentation, in slide presentations, I would like to share with you about the impact of technology into tourisms. As Wayne Crosby said, that technology play very significant roles in the tourisms, right? We see that the power is technology able to provide the tourism professional to develop their professionals through online, right? And then we can provide online trainings. Also, let me check my presentation. I should check before my. So technology also able to help us in data analytic and certification trackings to ensure that, okay, good, thank you so much. Because I have the picture of Mas Menteri here. Okay, next slide, Mbak. Okay, this is actually our presentation outline today. So Simulate Journey already present to you in brief. We already produced the online course based on CATC. Okay, we already pilot testings, and we are in the way of how can we promote into 11 member countries and how to go to micro credential. Okay. The next slide, but please for next again. Okay. Yep. So, because we are not from the industrial, we just want to know why quality standard and certification is very important. Because for the professionals, the certification and quality standards provides a compelling edge and also carries advancements and also professional developments, very clear. And for providers, travel agents, tourist organizations, and so on, they can improve the quality of the service, right? And for everybody, because I believe everybody is like customer, right? Everybody goes and enjoy the tourism. So with the standard and certifications, provides assurance and peace of mind. We can choose the qualified travel agents, tourist agency, and so on. Next slide, please. So this morning we already heard from Ibu Teti, Ibu Tina, and so on. This is the challenges we have for the quality standard and certifications. First, differences in our education system, language barriers. But actually, why we always talking in the negative way? As Bu Teti said, no, this is not the challenges. We must be able to cover it, right? Okay. And then cultural diversity, make it as like potential rather than challenges or obstacle. Okay. Number 4 is the one that we need to address, lack of awareness of and resources. This is our role. This is, through our platforms, we might have this one, to promote MRA-TP and also CATC. And also maybe because of lack of enforcement and compliance, but through our discussion with Pak Faisal, actually this is very complex, yeah? The problem is very complexity, and we need to address it holistically. Next slide, Mbak. And this is the one that I just mentioned before. So in the other set, this is the power of technology on the tourisms, okay? Weekends, everyone can do online trainings. Yep. Some free, some you have to pay. Some free also have high quality. Okay. And then also through technology, we can provide like a data analysis and certification trackings to ensure the quality. Also, technology, we can utilize it as the blockchains for certification. Because through credential, micro-credential, then when we can compile, we can accumulate it, then we can issue the recognition of the certificate. Okay. And also through technology, we can monitoring quality and also ensuring the insurance. Okay. However, the other side, the negative is, we still have the problem, the challenge, digital divides. Yeah. In our ASEAN member set, still the technology availability, technology literacy also not so homogeneous yet. Okay. Also, the issue of data privacy and security. Yep. So this is another challenges for us. And technological obsolescence. We know that the rapid advance of technology might be 2 days very advanced, but for the next month is out of date. So every agents, every tourism professionals, we have to catch up with technology. Okay. And also lack of digital literacy and awareness become the big challenges in tourism industry as well. Okay. Next, Mbak. Another challenges that we might face is the emerging trends in quality standard and certificates. First, the emergence of sustainable tourism certifications. Yep. Because we need to ensure that whatever activity in our tourisms must be sustainable, must be comply with environment sustainability and so on. Okay. Also, digital credential. This is maybe will be another challenge for either providers, the education institution, or for the industrial tourisms. We may also, in the futures, personalize certifications through one on self-assessments and also peer feedbacks. Of course, as Wayne Crosby mentioned, about the honesty and integrity, right? It will be possible in the next futures. And the last one on the certification innovations. Also, during our lunch, we discussed with Pak Faisal about the development of virtual or digital tourisms. Yep. Uh, right now, maybe still in the progress, or maybe at the beginning. But I do believe for the next 1 or 2 years, the digital nomadism or virtual tourism will be another trend. And we have to be ready for it. Okay. Last slide will be the last one. Thank you, Mbak. Ya. Next, Mbak. Thank you. But to close this with this ones, again, Bapak Ibu, maybe Simulec is not on the key players, but as we reflect to our journey, I talked to Buteti and so on, we will serve you as the enablers. How can we promote the MRA-TP? How can we promote the CATC into our 11 member countries, ASEAN plus Timor-Leste? Yeah, this from our side. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much. Give applause, please, for Dr. Wayudi. All right, all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have heard 2 institutions. Now, let's jump into the industry from Windham, Bapak Pamuji Selamat MSc. Time is yours, Pak.
Terima kasih.
You're welcome, sir. 15 minutes.
Terima kasih. Biasanya kalau udah yang agak belakang, after lunch and after several slides, right? It's usually a little bit of a, bragging, so you have to move yourself. So I have asked the committee, and they kindly provide me opportunity to send instead of sitting there.
Okay.
Right, and then I would like to open my sessions with a short video so that we all in the same page in terms of where I am coming from, Windham Hotels and Resort, because I understand it's not really as flashy as others. So I think it is my responsibility as a corporate executive and as a member of the Civitas Academy. I used to be studied here to present this, and it's important also for all the students so that see what is really the most current situation of our industry, particularly in Asia Pacific. So if you don't mind, it's going to be a video for a while. Please.
highly appreciative of the support and trust that our owners have given to us this year.
Thank you very much. Now we can go to the slides, the boring parts, right? Okay. When the first time Pak Putu contacted me, I have a very clear mind actually because I would like to go back to campus and then present this myself. That's one, and there is an opportunity, right? I am now in Indonesia, yes, but if you look at my name card, the office is actually in Singapore, right? And I taking care of the region, Southeast Asia and the Pacific Rim. So yes, I am in Indonesia, but there are a lot of travelings and coverage needs to make. And then I can tell you that this is a really exciting time. You heard about pandemic, you heard about the 2 years, you probably heard about how difficult times is and all. But let's take a look at what things are really, really there in terms of in the hotels and resort. Next. Okay, there are a lot of brands that we have, 28 of them, but only few in the region, and some of them are not announced yet. Right? So you probably only familiar with Wyndham or Ramada, but actually there are more to come. And then there are all these produced only during the pandemic. So there are a lot of things that we are looking forward, and there is only way up, my friend. Only way up. So prepare yourself, prepare ourselves, because this is actually the hardest part, right? The next, please. Now, just to give us a very fast brief on what we are actually coming from, tourism is a big industry, cross-cultural, cross-discipline, right? Please. Next. Okay. Wyndham is a provider of lodging and hospitality, right? Basically, we are an integral part of the tourism. So when you say member, there are many other members. So when you talk about a complete experience quality, you will need to take a look at each one of them and then see that our part is only a small part of it, but it's an integral part of it. Next. Right, if you look at our industry, hotel, it's a global in nature. You go to a hotel, you will see international brand, you see local brand, you see in the lobby, you see somebody coming from Australia, Vietnam. It's multicultural, different nationality. You go to the back of house, you see somebody in the kitchen, right? A chef, which is basically French. And then you see somebody else who's doing something else, right? Actually a different nationality. So it's given there. Globalism is a given fact. Having said this, right, because we are providing lodging, right, having traveling is not enough. They need to stay overnight. Otherwise, they would not need hotel. So I put an additional here that the more people travel globally, and then overnight staying, then it is good business for us. The better for us. Next. We have to do it very fast. Some still demand fluctuation, yet highly distinct in market segmentation. Doesn't matter, pandemic or not, you will see fluctuation. And then if you see a watch clock on the wall, you realize there is a way, then the needle is going up. There is no way this needle will only go up. It will be down. There is a reason why God created up and down. Now it's down, but there is always time for this to go up. This is why I put it as a demand fluctuation. Even before the crisis, you see high season, low season, correct? And then you see during lunchtime, you see a completely packed restaurant. But you see in the morning, right, before the opening, then there's probably, even if you open your hotel, restaurant, there's nobody there because it's not a meal time. Fluctuate. And then as you go here, the understanding, it's given fact. No questions about it, but this is have to be there. Okay, next. It's a capital intensive and plus very labor intensive. You see, it's a real estate. It is real estate. A hotel, yes, but it's a real estate. Therefore, it's highly capital intensive. Take a look at the hotel. Consists of minimum of two different components of real estate. First is the land. You build land, hotel in the middle of the city. It's going to be expensive, the cost itself, and then you have to build it. Yet, it will be labor intensive at the same time. So at the end of the day, we're talking about a long-term investment. Next. Next. Now, this is given also. Doesn't matter what, right? We operate 365 days. There is no stop. 365 days, 7 days a week. Doesn't matter what situation, you operate. And then it's under a single roof production. You see in other industry, you will see a separation between production. Pabrik, Karawaci, right? Sales in the city center, right? And then you have, but our line of production here, distribution, retail, service, and consumption under one roof. The customer come to the factory. So if you go buying something, other industry, you probably will not see the factory. It's probably in a different country, but it's not in our case. I will relate this to the challenge later. Next. This is how it becoming crucial to understand and relate this to the conference. At the end of the day, talent should be the key here. And in our case, right, it's related to quality, and then as you go global, it's becoming more complex. Not only because it's remote, it's away from where the standard itself is devised, but it has to be in the other side of the world, in the business unit. Next. Now, this is why in all international hotel chains, usually just like us, build our own human capital infrastructures. Wyndham based in the United States, New York, right? We are registered there in the New York Stock Exchange, the headquarters there. But when we operate globally, we have to, sometimes just like multi-level marketing, we have to downline our infrastructure. Corporate, regional, sub-regional, and country. Then, when it comes to support, it has to be coming from the top part, but the implementation is on the ground level. Right? Then when we talk about competency, quality, right? It's not just a matter of established, implemented, but in our case, it has to be also calibrated. Once a certain period of time, you need to measure that and then see if improvement can be done. Because there is no way that something which is good in the headquarters will be good and applicable in the different part of the world. Next. Now, this lead to a single philosophy for our industry, for hotel. You see, if you build, thinking about building a successful hotel, you need to have a sustainable competitive advantage. And that has to be directly related to the human capital principle, and it needs to be consistent. Then when we say consistent, it's based on the multi-stakeholders' expectation. And then this is becoming more complex, right? But if we look at, for example, one single important stakeholder, which is the customer, you will see that this customer will need all that in real-time basis. Meaning whenever it is delivered, it is promised, it is delivered, it needs to be perfectly exceeded, and then at the same time, everything at the same time. Next. The challenges, right. This is something that I took by remembering about what it is, the importance of ASEAN and how it is diverse, and then see what is our corporates actually looking at quality. Lain padang, lain belalang, di mana tanah dipijak, di situ langit harus dijunjung. At the end of the day, we're talking about how it is to really looking at both sides work. The corporate headquarters preference, needs, wants, and their, in particular, investors' preference in terms of return on investment, and then how that's going to be trickled, because we also have investor in the local basis and regional basis. Down. Next. The way we look at it, right? The challenges, doesn't matter it is in pandemic or not, it's always been consistent product and services as per brand requirements and investor objectives across the borders. It is really challenging. When you cross the border, you will see a different type of rule of the game, from legal regulations, different type of cultures and set of habits, customer requirements, a lot of things. So it's always been a very complex business. Next. But if you ask me, what is the real challenge? It's always been balancing what is your boss wants in terms of brand standard. When I say brand standard, you can split it into several, at least three. Physical standard, soft side or soft standard, and then system standard. Now, human resources competency goes to the second one, which is the soft standard, the human, but it is very strategic. You know why? I remember mentioned that if you would like to have a very competitive advantages, then you want to see the second part, which is the soft standard. Everybody can have a very nice interior design, decor, or anything new, usually very nice. But it is difficult to copy or develop your human resources in such a way that it becomes competitive advantage. But if you've done that, then it's very difficult to copy. If you only rely on your competitive edge on the interior, the physical looks of your hotel, and then everything that run down because it's real estate, then it's probably brand decline that you see. So it's always been balancing between what is the boss wants and what is the, what you call it, the customers, your investor wants at the local basis. Next. And this is what happened, doesn't matter based in pandemic or not. We will need to always look at standard fine-tuning from top to down, and then balancing. Oh, the corporate would like you to do this, and then we would say that we would like to do this because this is what really that needed to for the regional. And then from there, based on the new regulation, create a new one. Okay. Next. But all in all, doesn't matter what, as a commercial business, Wyndham has always been driven, and just like many other international hotel chains, always going to be driven by profitability. Because we are operating in commercial norms and principle. The objective is there. So a question always going to be, is it good for the business or not? But when it comes to local talent and then competency, we always find that when it comes to local talents, right, it will lead us to good business. Next. But as you go global, you will see that the world is so big and everything's are different from one to another, right? Take a look at the weather, it creates the environment, and then habits at the end of the day, it creates different values, culture. And then you will see a different preference, right? And then you will see later in this process a differentiation between one to another, right? You will see that there is a need of more competency standard, but less as compared to the others. And then obviously what we're looking at here is a gap between what has to be done by the corporate. Okay, this is the standard, right? But then when we take a look at what happened at the ground level, we see, oh, no, it's not possible. But as long as it's a good business, we set a strategy or approach whereby we can import the talent. But you see, all this can only be seen as a short-term strategy. At the end of the day, when you ask yourself whether it is a good business or not, then you will see that this is a very short strategy. At the end of the day, you will need to have a continuous business improvement, right? And that's only can be done if you develop the local talents. So when we open the hotel for executive chef, we don't have the talents, then we can import it from somewhere else. Right? And what happened? That we will need to run through all these trainings program and take a look at which one is suitable for that particular location. Right? And then we will need to establish the set of a very unique training program, which I think going to be involving the cross-border, cross-training on mission, but in a very short time, so that the person we sent them can train the local people, and the local people then take the estafette sticks so that this guy can move on to the next development projects. Meanwhile, the local can move on and then sustain the operations.
30 minutes, Pak.
20?
30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, 30
Done.
seconds. Sorry.
Okay. Next. But you see, when it comes to profit and then business, what we are really looking at is a seamless process, because seamless process, right, will give you a better profit margin. Next. And next. At the end of the day, right, I think what you have done here is a very good start in order to cluster that to make a common, but it will need to be followed up later, and the next challenge will be to negotiate and probably come with a certain rule of the game that is agreed by everyone, so that our business process can be more seamless, right? And then this is actually a good business. And then as a commercially driven company, we think any initiative that leads to lower cost, higher revenue, a better market share is going to be a good business. I know it's not very technical. I hope I can contribute to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Give a big applause for Mr. Pramudi. Right, thank you, Pak. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now I'm giving you 3 possible questions Two are from the offline. Once again, two from offline and the other one from online. And Mr. Wayne Crosby, are you still ready there to have or to answer the questions? All right.
Sure.
Okay, now, two questions from the offline right now when you are here. Be my guest, please. Anybody? Okay. We have a question also from Bali Tourism Polytechnic, from Bapak Igede Dharma Wijaya, addressed to Mr. Crosby. Mr. Crosby, are you still there?
I am, yes.
Okay, since some adjustment needed to adapt MRA-TP, is it more appropriate to position the toolboxes as a reference to adapt the future tourism, hospitality, higher education requirement, rather than solely adopting it 100%? So is it more appropriate to position the toolbox as a reference to adapt the future tourism? That's the question from Pak Igede Dharma Wijaya. Mr. Crosby, I think.
Sure. Look, it's a good question, and I actually we've had a private chat about it going through the session today. But I should stress that the toolboxes were always meant to be used as a resource to supplement any other resources that trainers and assessors might possess. So toolboxes should always be positioned not to be adopted 100%, but to be adapted to suit the situation that the toolboxes are going to be used for, because they could be used in industry, they could be used in education and training environments, but they could also be customised to suit the audience that you're working with, whether it's students, whether it's employees, customised to suit local conditions and cultures. So they were always there as a base, not necessarily to be utilised 100%. So the toolboxes are there so that people can use those components of them that are relevant and to supplement other resources that people might have. But certainly they should be used as a basis for appropriate competency-based training and assessment, but they need to be adjusted certainly for the skills and knowledge required for future operation.
Thank you, Mr. Crosby. We have Romisina first, and we still have two from Myanmar, from Mr. Kiao Sit. But now let's get Bu Tina, yeah? Madam Tina? Yes, please do. Address to Mr. Crosby. Excuse me. Address to whom?
Mr. Wayne? Yes. Hi, Wayne. Good afternoon. Nice to see you here.
Yeah.
The Philippines is actually going to be in charge of revising the toolboxes. Any advice on how we approach revisions to the toolboxes? And as mentioned earlier, a lot of industry partners are actually starting to use the toolboxes. They are modifying it to add more, most probably, the unique features that could be their competitive edge versus the others. And so there's use for it, whether for industry, for educators, etc. But, you know, modifying 242 toolboxes times 4, because you have the PowerPoint slides, you have the trainer's guide, you have the trainees manual, as well as the assessors. It's such a big task ahead. So give us some, can you give us some tips on how we should start it rolling?
Okay, thank you. Just hold on. Anyhow, maybe you want to say something again? Okay. Yes, Pak, Mr. Crosby, silakan.
Tina, it would have been very nice if you had have asked me an easy question rather than that one. But look, the advice on updating the toolboxes, I would simply be recommending that you follow the approach that it sounds like you are already taking. And that is listening to industry very strongly to ensure that the information in those toolboxes is current and relevant for not only what industry requires now, but whatever industry requires in the future. So I couldn't stress more strongly the need to get stakeholders together, to hear an industry voice, to get some, and now the hard part will be to get agreement, because there are various sectors of industry that have their own agenda. But remember that these toolboxes are a resource. They are not the blueprint. So they are there to be used as required. As I said before, adjusted as required, customised as required. And I'm really pleased to hear, Tina, that industry is using those resources, because they are just as relevant for them as they are for education and training providers. I probably haven't answered your question, but that's the best I can do at the moment.
Thank you. What do you think, Ms. Tina? All right, thank you, sir. Right, now we have a written question also from Myanmar, addressed to Mr. Crosby also, and Mr. Dr. Wahyudi. The question is, how to continue advanced degrees after MRA-TP certificate? Is there any possibility to get a higher level after the existing MRA-TP certificate? That's a question. To you first, Mr. Crosby, and then Mr. Dr. Wahyudi.
Sorry, could you just repeat the question for me so I understand it?
The question is, how to continue in advance degree after our MRA-TP advanced diploma certificate. Any advice?
Yes, the MRA-TP framework was designed for vocational training. So it was designed specifically for potential employees, whether they were students at education institutions or new employees in industry. The framework was designed to ensure that they would have the skills and knowledge to do the job that they will be undertaking in the workplace. If you wanted to develop, as we have developed, higher level qualifications that contain a lot of the competencies that are already in the ASEAN framework. It is just a matter of extending those competencies to be more than just skills and knowledge based, and to focus on the requirements that industry are going to be looking for in terms of innovation, in terms of problem solving, in terms of being multi-skilled, that's the way you can develop higher level qualifications that will build on from the ASEAN framework that already exists.
Okay, thank you. And then to you, Pak Dr. Wahyudi.
Yes, thank you, Pak Ramadan, and also Mr. Kwantit from Myanmar. If you mean for the advanced degrees like master degree, so meaning that you bring the opportunity for us to create like, but it is not for we cannot issue the degree. But you can, hopefully, you can apply using that diploma advance from the MRA-TP to like open university who offer the master degree in tourism. Yeah, I just see in the Bispar here for the Pastor Sarjana, right? I mean, this is the master degree. So, but my suggestion, if it is not related to the master degree, like when Crosby just mentioned about the academic qualifications, for me, it's not so, it's compared to the professional certifications. So my suggestion is that rather than taking the academic degree, focus on the professional recognitions of the degree. This one, okay. For the master's degree, please, I believe that the diploma will be recognized, will be acceptable for continue the degree into master's degree. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wahyudi. Right, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. Now one more speak. Oh, yes. We have, 2, 3, 4. Which one? We have a student there, Pak Surata. Which do you like? A student there wants to say something? Let me think first. Student first, right? Okay. Okay, stand up, please. Pak Surata, I give you time later, no problem.
Tick.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for the chance. You want to make good afternoon.
Please mention your name, please.
Yes. My name is Aldo, or you can call me Dodot.
All right.
Okay, thank you for the chance, moderator. Mr. Crosby, you said professionality is more value than academic qualification. I make this underline from your point. Okay. Let me make little analogy. I think MRA-TP have many good content and standardization on tourism professionality. But the fact, many academicians is not full take them part or their rule as the target because the English capacity is short. And also I can say in this room or in this hall, 18% student not understand clearly about the content of MRA-TP. Okay, so what the essential point for this conference to solve this problem? Thank you.
You got it, Pak Crosby? Do you understand the question?
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I don't know what question I need to answer.
Yeah. Make it shorter, but
okay.
The point is that when the implementation of MRTV here,
yes,
it seems not to be very clearly.
Okay.
That's it?
This point, yes.
That's the point. That's the point. So the implementation of the MRTV, according to the students, down here at Polytechnic and Hai Bandung, is not clearly stated. What do you think of it? And another one, the last, the keyword, I give you, to give your, from Bali tourism, right? Tolong ininya, apa mic-nya? Ya. Ya Pak, udah Pak. Ini Bapak, silakan. I think this is the end of the questions, no more. Silakan Pak Surata.
Terima kasih Pak Rahmat. Very good morning, good afternoon, Yang Terhormat Pak Faisal, Pak Kapus, our excellent speakers, all the wonderful participants, both in person and online. I'd like to ask a question to Mr. Wayne Crosby. Good day, Mr. Crosby.
Good day.
Yeah.
Hopefully you are in good condition, right? My first question is that, as you have mentioned in the introductory slide, you have experience in working or developing the framework of the MRA-TP, working together with the 10 ASEAN member state. My question is that how aligned, how coherent is the framework of ASEAN MRA-TP to the international standard, especially in terms of curriculum? We have experience working with the Victoria University, especially in the program of credit transfer. We have done curriculum mapping. The result is that maximum 40% of our curriculum doesn't match with the curriculum of the Victoria University. That's my question, that's the fact. Yeah? So the question is how relevant, how coherent, how aligned is the MRA-TP framework to the international standards? And the second one is that how could we get the international recognition or international certification of this ASEAN MRA-TP result from the point of view the international certification? That's the question. Hopefully it is clear. My second question goes to Pak Pramuji Slamet.
Pak Pramuji, finally.
Yeah, bisikan dari Pak Kapus ini. Mohon maaf. Yeah, I'd like to check the implementation of this ASEAN MRA-TP in terms of in the industry by the practitioners. My question is, how much do you know, how much do you recognize, and then how much do you implement the ASEAN MRA-TP toolbox for the development of the skills of the human resources in the industry, especially in the Windham corporate enterprise. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I'm Surata from Bali Tourism Polytechnic.
Thank you, Pak Surata. Thank you. Okay. Pak Crosby, Mr. Crosby, there are two questions following you from the student and from Pak Surata Bali. You got a question, okay. Now time to answer.
Firstly, to the student question, which if I understand correctly is that the MRA-TP is not clearly stated, so they're not quite sure what it's trying to achieve. A very short summary is that the MRA-TP was really designed to enable the mobility of skilled labour amongst the ASEAN member states, so that graduates from or tourism professionals from Indonesia would be able to apply for jobs if required in other ASEAN member states, have their qualifications recognised and be able to be employed in those countries legally and to have the appropriate employment arrangements made for them. And the reason the MRA-TP was created was that there was uniform agreement, particularly from industry, that the qualifications that were being delivered in the education institutions in most of the ASEAN member states were not industry relevant. So the MRA-TP was designed to ensure that if the qualifications that MRA-TP have within them, if they were being delivered and assessed effectively, then industry would be receiving graduates who had the skills and knowledge to do the jobs that they were being employed for. Because the message was loud and clear from industry that a lot of the people who they were employing who had qualifications could not do the jobs effectively they were employed to do because they didn't have the skills and knowledge to do it. Now, the reason why that may be not clear to you in the studies that you're undertaking, I think goes back to one of the recommendations that Ibu Teti said earlier on today, is that there is a definite need to have an ASEAN Regional Secretariat to support the implementation of the MRA. And one of the key roles of that Secretariat was to communicate and harmonise the objectives of the MRA-TP so that everybody would be aware of what the objectives of the framework were. So I hope that gives you some background as to why the MRA-TP was introduced and how you would in fact get information so that you could understand it better. That information does exist and it should be on the ASEAN Secretariat website if I'm not mistaken. The second question, which was about how aligned and relevant do I think the MRA-TP framework is, my only conclusion is that it certainly was aligned and relevant for industry because industry was the key stakeholder in designing the MRA-TP framework. It was the industry that signed off on the competency standards. It was industry that signed off on the qualifications framework, and it was industry that signed off on the toolboxes that were produced to support the MRA-TP implementation. Another component of your question was when you've done some mapping, and I think it was with Victoria University, is that correct? It would depend entirely on what qualification you would undertake the mapping against, because once again, the MRA-TP framework was designed as a vocational framework, designed for current employees or students undertaking courses who hope to gain employment after that. So I'm not sure which of the qualifications you were mapping against with Victoria University, but I suspect that should explain why there was such a difference in the qualifications framework for the MRA-TP and the Victoria University qualification. I could only also say that William Angeles, as another Australian organisation that is delivering national qualifications, we have also done the mapping of the MRA-TP against our qualifications, and the alignment is absolute. So much so that we would be giving total credit for individuals who had qualifications that were equivalent to the MRA-TP framework. They would get all credit for it. I probably missed some of the nuances of your questions, but hopefully I've satisfied those questions enough. But more than happy to engage with you offline if you wanted to pursue any of that any further.
Okay, the next question is for me, right? Yeah, from Bapa. Yeah, Wyndham is the end users, right, for this all competency standard. So it is going to help us in terms of having this initiative. Obviously, if somebody come to me from Polytechnic with this competency, right, my initiative will go beyond only Indonesia. You understand? Because, oh, this guy has this certificate, this guy has the competency. We are opening a hotel in Vietnam. It's the same competency. Let's send him there, right? And then this will help us. It will cost us a lot of time, money, and efforts. So how about this right now? We are in the position of having our own competency standards. Obviously, as an international hotel chain, we have our own international competency standard. And then since we have a lot of brands, then this competency standards is always going to be bum, 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 bum like that, right? And all implemented from the top to down, but as it goes down, it will be fine-tuned. It will need to be fine-tuned, right? Because otherwise it's not going to work and practically in the local individual business unit. So we have right now our own competency standard, which is regulated by the top and then the regional. But if we have something like this, it will be very easy for us, right, to take just all the competency standards, whatever that agreed on between the members of the states, and then just give it to the Singapore office, and then this is going to be a standard for the region for us also. So we actually looking forward to have it, and then it's going to really make us even a better business. Hope that answered the question.
Yeah, I hope so. Okay. Right, clap your hand, please, everyone. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time to close this session. But before that, let me wrap our discussion today. We have two formal institutions from Mr. Crosby, Mr. Crosby from William Angeles, and also from Mr. Dr. Wahyudi from Simolek. They have the same, actually, the same ideas that the existing of MRA-TP program is actually should be developed, should be corrected, and need some adjustment to face the future problems. Number one, very important is that it seems to be developed in some micro-credential teaching. So it's very specific skills from the participants. And the other one is very important also, to creating more professional values like ethics, politeness, empathy, which is also very important to create leadership in the future. So from industry, to see from different point of view in which all the MRA-TP, which is now existing, are very beneficial to the industry because it's a good for the business. And the last one, according to the industry, that the standard competency must be established, must be implemented, and must be calibrated. So that's the end of our session for today. Thank you very much for all the speakers. Thank you very much, Mr. William Crosby. Thank you so much for being able to attend, and Mr. Dr. Wayudi and Mr. Prabudi Slamet, and all the ladies and gentlemen, distinguished, thank you, good afternoon, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Clap your hand, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to Dr. Rahmat Darmawan for performing wonderfully as the third moderator. And of course, thank you as well to our speakers.
Before we close the session, we would like to invite Mr. Faisal as Head of Human Resources Development Center, Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of Republic of Indonesia to give appreciation to our speaker and moderator from the third panel discussion. Alright, for the documentation purposes, we will commence the photo sessions together. We will lead the documentation in 1, 2, 3. Once again in 1, 2, 3. Thank you to the moderator and speakers as well as Mr. Faisal for doing the honors of giving the appreciation.
Last but not least, it is time for the fourth panel discussion with the same topic, Global Challenges, Quality Standard and Certification, from the representative of ILO, or International Labour Organization, IMI Switzerland, and the Executive Director of Astindo.
This session will be led by Mr. Budi Wibowo from Palembang Tourism Polytechnic as our fourth moderator. Good afternoon, Pak Budi. Are you ready? All right. Pak Budi, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I will be the last man standing and sitting in here, right? For today. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera buat kita semua. Salam, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam sejahtera, salam kebajikan, dan salam kompeten. Baik, good afternoon ladies and gentlemen. Wow, there is no sound, silent, quietly. Okay, thank you very much for joining us both online and on-site. Once again, good afternoon. Okay, let's move our body first. If I say happy afternoon, and then you will stamping your foot. 1, 2, clap. 1, 2, clap. 1, 2, clap, clap, clap. Yes. Okay? Can you make it? Happy afternoon? Oh. One more, okay? Happy afternoon, and then 1, 2, clap. 1, 2, clap. 1, 2, clap, clap, clap. Yes. Okay? Once more. Happy afternoon, all. Okay, thank you very much. Let me introduce myself. Now I will be your moderator for the last topic. My name is Budi Wibowo, and I'm an ASEAN Master Trainer in Food and Beverage Division from Indonesia. Sadly, I just came for the second best because our first best is still sitting in front of us. That is Mr. Putu Laksaguna. Give applause to Mr. Putu Laksaguna. Okay, now I'm in charge as a lecturer in Palembang Tourism Polytechnic. On this fourth panel discussion, we will delivering deeper into the topic that I will discuss the previous session about global challenges, quality standard and certification. And this time we will be having 3 new speakers on this discussion. And all of them will came by online. I can see? Oh, not yet. Okay. Starting with our first speaker. Here we have Mr. Julian Magnat from International Labour Organization, or shortened to ILO. Mr. Julian Magnat has been skilled and employability at ILO Regional Office for Asia and Pacific since 2018. He provides technical assistance on skills development to government, employers, and workers association from the region. For the last 17 years, he has been working on skill development and decision work in more than 20 countries for ILO in Africa, America, Asia, Middle East, including 6 LDC and middle-income countries of Asia. Please give an applause for Mr. Julian Magnat. Hello, Mr. Julian. Are you there?
Good afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Julian.
Good afternoon. Greetings from Bangkok. Can you hear me?
Yeah. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. And next, we have a second speaker, Mr. Antimos Giorgio from IMI, Switzerland.
Hello, hello.
Give applause for Mr. Antimos Giorgio. He was graduate from New York University with a Master of Science in Hospitality Management, specialized in asset management, and he holds also postgraduate diploma in adult education by PHGH Zurich. He had been the business program manager for BA and MBA program for Teesside University and University of Derby, and has been teaching business, hospitality, and food and beverage modules for 20 years. He has extensive experience in management and consulting with specialization in marketing, e-marketing, and strategic planning. He is specialized in hotel and restaurant management with experience in running on restaurant in New York City, own wine bar bistro in Greece, and working for Kempinski Hotels. Is right, give applause for Mr. Antimos Giorgio. Hello,
Thank you
Mr.
very much.
Antimos Giorgio.
It's so good to be here. Welcome.
Yeah, hello, and thank you very much for giving your valuable time with us. And the last but not least, our third speaker of the discussion, Mr. Syahrul Firdaus from Astindo, Asosiasi Travel Indonesia. He is now as Executive Director at Astindo, Chairman of the Professional Certification Body ATDA, and his education background was bachelor degree in business management and got the Master Assessor of Tourism from William Angley Institute of TAFE, Melbourne, Australia, and attend various training on tourism industries. Okay, give your hands another time for Mr. Syahrul Firdaus. Hello Pak Syahrul, apa kabar Pak? How are you today Pak? There is no sound for Pak Syahrul. Okay. Now we will explain on how the discussion will be held from here and out. The discussion will be held by each speaker individually for the topic of their own topic or for about 10 to 15 minutes each. And after all the three topics has been discussed by honorable guests, we will then hold a question and answer for audience both online and offline for also 10 to 15 minutes. Now, for our first discussion, Mr. Julian Magnat, I will say that please take the stage for you, but no. The time is yours, sir.
Good afternoon, and thanks a lot for the great welcome. Again, greetings from Bangkok, from the ILO Regional Office for Asia and Pacific. I'm going to give you a presentation. Let me share it with you now. Okay, I hope you can see it. It should. Let me try to put it full screen. I don't know if it's full screen or if it's still not. Can you tell me? Okay, it's fine now. Okay, so greetings from Bangkok. I'm going to focus on 3 dimensions. Actually, I think it was very nice to hear the last speakers, and I want to spice it up with additional labor dimension as I work for the ILO. Number 1, to flag the mega trends and the main mega trends that are impacting the future of work for all sectors, including the hospitality sector. Number 2, to show you what are the impacts on the qualification standards and skills dimension. And number 3, I will give you a practical experience that we have currently to support countries of ASEAN to actually transform their system in line with these mega trends impacting the future of work. So number one, as you can see, I mean, we have digital technology advancement, but also number two, demographic change, and number three.
I'm sorry, Mr. Juliet, can you make the script full of script?
Oh, yes, I can try now. So, I don't know why it shows like that. Let me try. All right. Is it better like that? No, huh? You still see the animation, the next one, or not?
Yet. Not yet. You can make a slideshow.
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet, because on my side I can see the slideshow.
Oh, okay.
But it looks that it doesn't show. Let me try something else. Again.
Maybe you can swap the setting.
Yeah, it's what I'm trying. Display settings.
But it's okay, Mr. Magnet. We can continue our presentation for the session today.
Let me try like this. Better? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is better.
Yes,
okay.
This is better.
Here
Thank you very much.
So we're speaking about digital transformation, a small example. All right. So yeah, three main mega trends are impacting the world of work. I mentioned technology advancement, digital transformation. Number two, demographic change. And we know that actually Asia it's interesting because we have countries that are fast aging societies, but we have also some countries in ASEAN actually that are with still a strong demography like Cambodia and Laos, and we have Thailand actually aging. We even impact actually on the migration. Number three, transition to green economy. And we can see in Bangkok, we have a heat wave the last few days, more than 40 degrees. Climate change is not for tomorrow, it started already, and it will impact all our lives and make difficult for people to actually work in several sectors. So including the tourism sector. So that was my first introduction to say, first, we have these mega trends that are impacting the world of work. An example, forces transforming the world of work, technology and advancement, number of robots, it's actually booming. Every 2 years, it's exponential over the world. And actually the countries of the region are the ones that are booming the most. And you will see that the three top countries globally are actually Korea, Singapore, and Japan, followed by Germany. But you can see that China is there, but actually they are going up very quickly. And you will see that soon they will arrive to the level of Japan and other countries in terms of robots. Why I mentioned that, you will see, is that actually automation showed us that there's a risk of loss of jobs in all sectors, including hospitality and tourism. And actually, even if we had these studies, we can see now that this impact is not as bad as expected, and I will come back why. But when we speak about digital transformation of the world of work, what we can see are two main things. One, that women are more impacted. They are more at risk, for instance, to lose their job. And number two, the people with the lowest education, they are the one also that will lose their job with the automation, or that are losing their job currently. Now, I move to the second dimension. I will mention two mega trends only today, the digital transformation and the green one. And actually here I shared the list of countries, the share of countries that mention nationally determined contribution for the climate change. You know that in Paris COP21, there was declaration from all countries. All of them agreed to move on. But an issue we can see actually that less than 40% of these plans include any skills training to support the implementation. And 20% of them do not plan any human capital related activities at all. Why I mention that? Because it's valid for the tourism sector and other sectors. Actually, there was an ambitious national commitment to transform and to green the economy. But actually, if we want to make it happen, we need to train the people to have the green skills. And reskilling measure required at all skills levels. Currently, the maximum investment made to green skills are made for high skill occupation. But as you can see in this graph here, the biggest need is for the medium skills in terms of green skills. So now some of the practical steps that we have made. I think, we received from several governments, employers organization, workers organization, some requests to support them to digitalize and to green their skills system, including the qualification standard, occupational standards, and others. And several Ministry of Tourism actually requested our support. So we had very practical support done, and it's why I mentioned we developed actually some coaching program with our ILO International Training Center in Torino in order to really support government policymakers, but also operational people, director of TVET school from the hospitality sector, chief of education from, again, the same schools, teachers, trainers from the hospitality sectors have been involved. And we developed a step-by-step approach because it's not so simple to actually adapt the existing curricula, training packages, and assessment packages and qualification standards to this new green and digital dimension. So I mentioned who is involved, Ministry of Tourism, TVET schools, social partners, meaning employers and workers, organization, environmental stakeholders, here again. And what we do. Here I speak about macro, meso, micro. Why? Because all lesson learned, because this is a journey that everybody is learning, what we notice, if we focus only at the policy level, there's a high risk, but actually there's no implementation on the ground. If we focus only at the micro level, at the school level, there's a high risk actually that it doesn't go up, and then that policies are adapted and there's sustainability about it. So I will mention that we have done. So first, for the tourism sector in Cambodia, for instance, what we have done is work closely with Ministry of Tourism, as well as several vocational training schools working on hospitality. And we train their teachers, chief of education, to actually digitalize and green the competency standards and the qualification standards. That was first step. Second step, to actually digitalize and green curricula training and training packages. What does it mean is that, for instance, if we take the 4 occupation, front office, food and beverage, etc., we included some specific digital skills and green skills related to the occupation. So we coach them to do it. So it takes longer, but then it's really the teachers, chief of education, and policymakers that are making these changes. Digitalization and greening of assessment packages, and I mentioned also ERPL, so electronic recognition of prior learning, supporting also Cambodia Ministry to set up an online learning management system, and actually to support schools also to be able to develop online assessment packages. Something in parallel that we done, we supported also the development of online or blended learning packages, because what we notice is that even if online learning packages are very good, sometimes it's important to add some face-to-face. So it's why we have these blended packages where there's a part online and a part face-to-face. Development of national green and digital Tibet policy for the hospitality sector. So again, the Ministry of Tourism of Cambodia requested our support to develop specific policy on this transformation, and supporting also school to become greener at all levels. That was another support that we provided. I mentioned the training of teachers and in-company trainers, because it's important that teachers can include these digital skills and green skills in packages that they can develop blended or online learning packages. But it's also important to train them how to use an online platform or to train on these new skills. An important point here that I will mention is the upskilling of the workers, of the existing one. Why? Because if you train new graduates with these digital and green skills, it's very important. But what is happening if these people, these young people, are employed in a company, in an hotel, for instance, or in a restaurant, where the supervisors and older workers, they don't have these skills, it will be difficult for the newcomer to say, well, to apply them. So we also in parallel support the upskilling workers in terms of digital and green skills, but also two other transferable skills that are social emotional skills and cognitive skills. So all is one. And when I say all is one, it means also the employers. We need also to support the managers, the owners of the hotels, restaurants, for instance, to understand what they will win if they have a greener process, if they have their employees with more digital skills, what they can win.
I'm sorry,
instance,
Mr. Magnet, you still have 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Yes, yeah, that's the last slide. So that's OET has applied. I mentioned capacity building. And as I mentioned, it's a step-by-step coaching and learning by doing. My experience with the different countries I worked in is that it's better to learn on the job. So it's why we have this coaching process, and they actually, in Cambodia, we have 40 institutions, hundreds of teachers or in-company trainers that have been trained, and themselves, they trained 5,000 students. And by doing that on the job, there's much more impact. Yeah, I mentioned long-term tutoring coaching. My point here is that actually it takes time to make a change. So it's not a 6-month process that we had. It's an ongoing process that started 3 years ago and that is still ongoing. It's a thank you here to all of you. And there's a picture of young girls in actually Siem Reap, Cambodia, that are training in the Tibet school, and you can see that they learn. It was during COVID-19, and they learn also with on tablets. My message is connected here to the climate change and to the green transformation, because actually it has been shown that the most efficient way to actually reduce climate change is to train girls on the thematic. So thank you very much, and I'm available for question. Over. Thank you.
Give applause for Mr. Julian Magnat. And that is all the time for the first topic, presentation. Thank you for Mr. Julian Magnat. Now on to our second speakers. Here is Mr. Antimos Giorgio. You have 10 to 15 minutes, and I will be reminding you when you have 2 minutes left. The time is yours. Please, Mr. Antimos Giorgio. Give applause for Mr. Antimos Giorgio.
Thank you very much. Greetings from Switzerland. Let me share my screen so that you can see my presentation. Can you see my presentation now? Yes, no?
Not yet. Not yet.
Not
okay,
yet.
thanks. You can see one slide, right?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. All right, I will start. So I'm Anthimo Giorgio. I'm the head of quality assurance here at IMI, which IMI is it's one of the best Swiss hotel schools. We're currently number 21. And what I always say, we are teaching here the new leaders of the industry. So as I'm the head of quality assurance, and I will explain, I run a lot of audits here. And then also I'm responsible for the culinary programs.
Excuse me, Mr.
Yes?
Did you have slide or no?
Yes, I do, but
There
it's
is
not
no
shared.
slide
Give
in
me a
here?
second, please.
There's no chat, a slide presentation in it?
Let me check again. All right, I think now it's shared. Yes?
Not yet. Yeah.
All right, good.
Please make it slideshow also.
Yes, I'll do that. I'll set now. Can you see now everything?
Not yet. Make it bigger in slideshow.
It is a slideshow, actually.
Oh.
Can you see on the screen now what I have?
Okay, no problem. Let's continue our session, Mr. Please, Mr. Antonius Giorgio.
You can see now?
Yeah, no problem. Let's continue.
Yes,
Okay,
I can
thanks.
see the slide.
Excellent. So you see what I always say, I love what I do what I love. And that's why I'm in the industry. You already spoke about what I did and so on. So I will tell you a few things what I do here now, because what we do, I run the internal audits. And at the same time, I run the different accreditations that we have, including ISO, BAC, and also some local educational accreditations. And also at the same time, I'm responsible for the quality of the culinary programs, which we run together with Manchester Metropolitan University. So everything that I do here, it has to do with quality. And then I'm responsible of making sure that we run quality programs. And then also at the same time, I teach different programs, let's say, and modules in business that we have some business courses here, but also at the same time, culinary and hospitality. And when people, they ask me why, let's say, people, they should study hospitality and tourism, I always tell them this, let's say, a lot of knowledge is diversified. People, they think that you come to hospitality school and what you learn only about hospitality, which is not the truth. Here, let's say what we do, we teach, let's say, hospitality. You're going to learn about tourism, events management, but then at the same time, it's business management, economics, finance, and overall, it's all leadership. And that's important. And then it's a very dynamic industry, our industry. And of course, everybody that's listening now and you are there, you know that. Of course, it's very innovative. And it's innovative, and I think we've seen that during COVID, how the industry managed, let's say, to cope up, taking innovative steps, and now we see that they're taking more steps to be more innovative. It's always global opportunities for somebody that finishes, let's say, from a school like ours, or in any, let's say, school of hospitality and tourism, because you can go somewhere, let's say, and you can practice, you can work, and so on. What I always tell my students, I never thought that when I went, let's say, to New York to study from Cyprus, my island, I never thought that I would end up, let's say, here at IMI, teaching in one of the best hotel schools and do everything that I do. Our industry also is developing in-demand skills. And I see an example again with COVID. The demand back then, it was being more hygienic and so on. Therefore, you learn new skills based on the situation. And of course, networking. You go and you mentioned that, I think, previous, let's say, people that they spoke, they mentioned that we can work with people from all over the world. I'll give you an example. For example, in our school here, we have students from 25 different nationalities right now. Overall, we have like 60 different nationalities. So not only you are networking in the school, but also you are networking when you go out there and you start working in hotels. And of course, when you finish, and if you like, let's say, to do something else, you can get unemployment in other industries as well. So that's a great opportunity as well. So when we talk about quality now, of course, we have to think of quality standards based on the standard operation procedures. And if we think of hotels and restaurants and tourism, let's say, businesses, all of them, they have their own standard operation procedures. And where all these, they have to do with quality. And of course, now a lot of companies, what they do different ISO-related standards. The most well-known standard is the 9001, which is the one that is, for example, for quality in general, but then there are also specific ISO-related standards for the hospitality, the tourism industry, and events industry. So somebody who likes to go the extra mile, you can do that as well. And of course, being in the culinary industry, it's everything about food safety and security. So one of the highest, let's say, quality standards is ASEAN. Here in Switzerland, we have something similar, which is called COBAS. And everybody, let's say, who likes to open a restaurant and bar needs to have, let's say, a COBAS certificate. And of course, training and development in order to achieve quality. And I'm going to talk about this afterwards in another slide that I have, which is something that actually the hotels, they are doing that now. And I will explain why afterwards. And of course, it's about education quality certifications, where you go to school, and I will explain what I mean. And then, of course, different degrees from accredited institutions and universities like ours, and also US hotel schools that you have in Asia and in other countries. And of course, where do you get this? First of all, we might think of universities. So universities are usually 3-year programs. Here in Europe are 3. In United States, where I study, it was 4 years to get my degree, first of all. So that's one part. Then there are different hospitality schools like ours, which again, there are so many others in Switzerland, but also around the world like yours. Of course, now we see a lot of short courses, which you might go, you spend, let's say, some time, and you learn a new, let's say, trick, a new, let's say, skill. Different seminars, which also are the case, which it can be, let's say, seminars. And of course, now after COVID, we see a big expansion of online courses and webinars, which I think that's the new norm now. Even we have, let's say, people reaching to us, asking us if we provide any online courses, but we don't actually. And of course, people who like to learn something, you do your own study. As I always tell the students here is, we cannot teach you everything here. So what you need to do, in order to become professional, you need to start looking at yourself as well and your strengths and weaknesses, and then the things that you like, try to make them stronger. And when I say professional, and of course, some of the speakers earlier mentioned that, what it's all about? It's all about skills. It's about the soft skills and the hard skills of people. And of course, in our industry, it's our hospitality. Hospitality means being welcoming. And that's one of the most important part of hospitality. So these are some of the traits and the skills that someone needs to have. And of course, first of all, you have to be welcoming and of course, polite. Politeness is very important in our industry. But of course, proficiency. And proficiency are the different skills. The hard skills usually that you are going to learn in the school, but also then you're going to practice them in the business. Of course, you have to be dependable. And in order to be dependable, you have to learn, you have to be proficient. And of course, when you are dependable, what you do, you gain a lot of opportunities within the business to be promoted because people, they see in you that they can depend on you, they can rely on you. Of course, you have to be honest. And honestly has to do also with ethics, being ethical. And it's something that we see now a lot about ethical and corporate social responsibility, which is very important for the business. And we need to know. You have to be prepared. And preparation, again, means you know the skills and you have the skills. And of course, you have to be loyal. What happens now, people, let's say, they're proud of where they work. And this is what you're supposed to do. And that's why all the hotel companies, they're trying, let's say, to cultivate the values of the business to the employees. And if we look, for example, on individual competences, we have to think of technical and system skills, which is something, of course, that you learn on the job, either on the job, but also in a school and in other, let's say, training sessions. But then at the same time, importantly, because you work in teams, it's interpersonal. You have to work with people. Our industry is a people's industry. So you have to work with people and you have to be a good team worker. And of course, in order to do that, also you have to know the products and services, where first of all, it's all about selling them to the customer, but also promoting. And of course, in order to sell them to the customers, you need to know the customers, which is very important. And of course, you need to know your target market and your target groups. And of course, everything starts with the personal skills, which is our soft skills. Being nice, being, let's say, friendly. Of course, this is something also that can be cultivated. But a lot of us, actually what we do, we have some of these personal skills, and then usually what we do, we cultivate them better. And of course, when people have all these skills, what they will do, they will become leaders. And this is actually what the industry is looking for. We are looking for leaders. And this is, let's say, what we're trying to do here. We're teaching, let's say, students how to become leaders. And of course, how can you be a leader? First of all, you have to have, let's say, you have to be intelligent. First of all, again, you have to be creative and innovative. Of course, you have to have people skills. It's very important because it's all about people. Because you have to, let's say, motivate your employees to do better. And of course, you have to be, let's say, you have to be trusted. And at the same time, you have to take decisions. And a lot of decisions, it's die or leave. And that's why, again, one of the most important leadership traits is about change management. And of course, is the competencies. In order, for example, to train somebody, you need to have the competencies. You have to be confident. And of course, the leaders, what they do, they will try and train and develop the employees. And why do we need to train the employees, which is, it's important. It has to, let's say, we start with, I call it the domino effect of training. This is a theory that I created and I try, let's say, to explain to students. And the idea here is what? Companies are spending money to train and develop the employees. And why they do that? Because when the employees are trained, what is going to happen is going to be an increase of employee performance. And when, again, at the same time, it's going to be, let's say, the employees, they will be very happy, motivated, and satisfied. And when the employees are satisfied and motivated, and they're confident about the skills that they do, what they will do, they will increase their service quality. And when the quality of services increase, what is going to happen? There is going to be a customer satisfaction. And then when the customers are satisfied, what they're going to come, they will become loyal. And when there is customer loyalty, there's always increase of revenue. So that's why having skills, it's very important to reach, let's say, to customer satisfaction, but also sustainability of the business. Interestingly, because I was looking around, the eHotelier, which is a platform online, they actually, they sent, let's say, out last week a link which I downloaded, and it was the industry future skills needs. As you can see on my screen, you can see, let's say, this QR code. If you scan it, you can download, let's say, the actual research where you can read some of what are the final, let's say, findings were. But these 8 points were the final points, let's say, that came out from the study. So these are the skills that people in the industry need now in order to be, let's say, successful. And some of them I mentioned earlier.
The time is still
Yes?
1 minute for you.
Okay, I'll finish fast. So communication, empathy, leadership, team, integrity, passion, professionalism, and honesty. And then lastly, This is the outlook. This is what the future holds. What we need to be innovative. We have to look at the technology. We need to become leaders. Networking, know people, updating, meaning learn new traits, be sustainable, look at being eco-friendly, facility management and hygiene, and this is we learned that from COVID actually, IQ and EQ, and then the last one is artificial intelligence and all these things that we see now. I guess that's it for now, and then I can answer some questions at the end.
Yeah,
thank you very much for your time.
It's very sharp. Thank you very much, Mr. Antonius Giorgio, for the presentation. Now we come to our final or our third presenter. Please welcome Mr. Shahrul Firdaus. You have 10 to 15 minutes, and I will be reminding you when you have 2 minutes left.
Okay.
The time is yours. Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Pak Budi. Sorry if the something wrong with the connections, because sometimes I cannot hear the other speaker. Okay. Anyway,
no problem.
Can you hear my?
Yes, very
hello?
clearly. The voices are very clearly.
Very clearly. Okay. Thank you. Okay. 1 minute. And the presentation, is it already appear?
The presentation not yet. But, oh yeah.
Not yet. You see it already?
Yes, I see already. Just make it bigger. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to ASTINDO. ASTINDO is the Indonesian Travel Agents Association. Before we go further, I think I have to explain about ASTINDO first. This is, do you see the second page of the slide?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, the affiliated, ASTINDO is affiliated to FATA. FATA is Federation of ASEAN Travel Association, and also to ASEAN Tourism Association. Not only to those two international associations, but we also affiliated to World Travel Agent Association Alliance and also World Tourism Alliance. In domestic, we are under Kadin Indonesia and GIPI. GIPI is Gabungan Industri Pariwisata Indonesia. Okay, the membership of ASTINDO, we have 3 membership. The first one is full member. The full member is all the travel agencies from Indonesia. For the time being, we have in the 26 provinces. Yeah. So the member is almost 2,000. And the second one is associate member. So the associate member this is for other industry or other company in other industry who interested to join to the ASTINDO activity. So they can become an associate member, such as travel agent overseas or the Association of Travel Agent Overseas, and also national tourist offices from other countries. Even some embassies, or also like global distribution system who support travel agent business, and banks or insurance, or even the vocational education institution. So can be an associate member of ASTINDO. The third one is an honorary member. This is only for the person who appreciated to ASTINDO department. Okay. ASTINDO has the professional certification agency. I think Ibu Teti this morning is mentioned about the professional certification agency. This is under or licensed by Indonesia Professional Certification Authority, or called BNSP. So our professional certification agency named ADA. ADA stands for air transport distribution services and agencies, because we also doing the certification for the services on the ground for the air transportations. So this is found 2010. I think if Ibu Teti is still there, this is the baby of Ibu Teti actually. Yeah. Okay, the scope of the ADDA is travel agents in the travel agents business. So we only doing the certification for the competencies of the occupation in the travel agency. Okay, this is the result that what ADDA doing. I would like to mention also in this occasion that the certification of competencies in the travel business in Indonesia is not really familiar. I mean, it's not really known by them. Because they think that the certification is not really required. Yeah. But so this is what happened. What we did. What ADAP did since 2016. So this is the production or the certificate issued. And we did it, the certification in 16 cities already represent to the each provinces actually. Yeah, 16 provinces. Okay, now the obstacle of the certification competencies. This is what we are going to say is since we are talking about mutual recognition arrangement in tourism professional. Actually, every region or every provinces in Indonesia is mandatory to get an update competency standard because this is for tourism services. So everyone has to got the updated competency standard. But since Indonesia is a huge country with heterogeneous of our social culture, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we have more than 100 social culture are in 38 provinces. Yeah. So adjustment to different social cultures is required. Maybe this morning we also heard from the Thailand, from Cambodia, and also from Myanmar. They face the problem with the language, especially English. We also in Indonesia has similar problem. Not only English, some of them in the provinces, some of them still using the local language or local culture language. So sometimes they have also a little bit find difficulties to speak in formal bahasa Indonesia. Yeah. While you know in the standard competencies, the wording is in a formal word. So sometimes they still have the difficulties. This is what we have to adjust to them. I mean, I know the standard competencies that is in generic actually, but if we face in certain cases that we have to consider to this. And the other obstacle also the paperwork of certification. This is a burden. Why I said the burden? The document of certification, I think for what BNSP apply is about 23 documentation has to be filled in by the participant, by the candidate. Yeah. Which is for them, it's a burden because they have to fill so many questions. Yeah. So 23 document. It's not, I mean, that is not easy for them because they have to learn it. They have to find out what the real meaning of the statement. That's why this is a burden. So sometimes they only what is that? Take it for granted. Yeah, just feeling like that. Yeah. Okay, next one, development of standardized competency framework. I think the Tourism Ministry of Indonesia, especially of HR department, actively developing and updating competency standard in last few years. Yeah, I would thank you to the Tourism Ministry, which is the standard competency for the travel agents finally changed in December 2021. Yeah. So that's mean it's already 1 year. The age is already 1 year. And also the industry professional practices who has available time are willing to cooperate with tourism minister to update the competency standard. I have to mention this because the practices practices of industry mostly they are concerned only to their business. So sometimes they don't concern to what is happening to development of the competencies for the HRD. So it is difficult to get their time. That's why this is on the third point. I said appreciate it if a group of industry professional experts could sacrifice their regularly or continuously to develop standardized competency framework. What I mean is, if it is those the professional expert are concerned to this program, I think the update or the changing of this competency standard is very smoothly done. Yeah. But this is, I don't know in other countries, but in Indonesia, it's rather difficult to get this. Okay, the acceptance of across the different countries and the regions. Yeah. Tourism business has always doing the cooperation between travel agents and tour operator among the country in the regions. I think most of you hearing about the tabletop or travel mart, that is the changing the what is that the travel exchange or something like that. So they always doing the cooperation between the travel agents, the outbound travel agent from one country with inbound travel agent or tour operator from other countries. So this is a common business, a common activities. Each party already aware and agreed to the respective current competency standard applied. Since we are a member or affiliated to the Association of Travel Agents in ASEAN, so we exchange the information about the competency standard. Some of them or most of them doesn't know very well about the competency standard of the for the travel agencies. Yeah, that's why this is in the third point. I would say the acceptance of certification across the different countries and region is still in the gray area. Why? Because we also have been uh, issued the certificate for those who are going to work abroad, yeah, to overseas, and they didn't ask the certification from us, the certification, the competency certification. They always ask the local certifications or another way to the competency explanations. Yeah, I think this is what we face the problem for us in Indonesia. Hopefully, with the MRA-TP conference, we would like to have the better condition. I think that's it for from me. So it is less than the time, Pak Budi. Yeah, I only takes 13 minutes, so I still have 2 minutes left for you,
Yes,
Pak
thank
Budi.
you very
Maybe
much, sir.
for the question. Yeah. Thank you, Pak Budi.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Shahrul Firdaus, and give applause for Mr. Shahrul Firdaus. And thank you also for our honorable guest speakers that has given their knowledge on this panel discussion. Please give an applause for them. Now,
Thank you.
we will give time for the people of the audience, both online and offline, to give a chance to ask questions about the topics that has been discussed on this panel discussion. Please do so. There's any question? Okay, from online. Question to Mr. Antimos Gergios of EMI Switzerland. Do you have any sample of your best practice in your country or your hotel, school in regards of link and match program between hotel industries and hotel schools? That's the first question. And the second is, and where is the position of your government in this program? Is it a regulator or facilitator? Please.
All right. The first one, our programs actually stand, when we created our programs, we brought, let's say, hotel and industry leaders, and they told us what they are looking in employees. So we have, let's say, a lot of different, let's say, hotels and different hotel chains where they told us this is what we're looking for. So we incorporated some of this knowledge in the programs. And this is the way, let's say, we built our programs. And of course, every 3 to 5 years, we do, let's say, a management review where we change, let's say, different, let's say, programs and modules based on the industry standards. And this is, let's say, one of the most important things of being current. For the second question now, again, because here in Switzerland, we have, let's say, there are different programs. We actually have a program which is, it's from the government here, and it's called a HF program, and it's a 3-year program that is actually, it's coming from the government of Switzerland. And this is the government, which is the regulator, is responsible for the quality, where we run through quality, let's say, audits, and then they will come every year and they will check all the documentation and so on. But also with MMU, the Manchester Metropolitan University, where we are partners, they also regulate everything. And then every 3 months, we have exam boards where they are looking at all the documents, but also at the students' work and assessments. And then they finalize the marks. And then at the end, they finalize the end degrees for the students. I think I answered both.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Antonius.
You're welcome.
Sergio. And also thank you for Mr. Hadi Sutisno, who's giving the question. Okay, now it's time for the audience in here. There is any question? Please. Our lovely students. There is any question for our honorable speakers? Okay, maybe I also have a question for Mr. Julian Magna about the digital transformation. How digital transformation can be used for assisting the skill of trainings in your country? There is no sound.
You now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
Sorry, there was a small technical issue. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, the question is a sample of digital transformation for skill training in your country.
So, I mean, in the countries I cover, when we speak about digital transformation, there's 2 dimensions that we are looking at. One dimension is actually the digital skills that are really related to the occupation. And number two, that's the online learning. So that's the two dimension. And in the countries I cover, they have actually very different experience and expertise. For instance, I'm covering Singapore, China, very advanced on digital transformation, and countries, Cambodia, Laos, or others, but have less experience and need to do more work. So again, for us, what is very important is that to have the private sector involved in the process, and that they tell us, okay, what is needed currently are this, and this. And there's this discussion that is held with the teachers, with director of education of schools, and we do this transformation. As I mentioned, it takes time. It's not something that is done in 1 minute. And it's moving, because the digital skills you need today or green skills you need today can be obsolete tomorrow. It was mentioned by one of the previous speakers in the last session. So this transformation takes time. But what is very interesting, what I noticed, one key learning that I had is that, we have sometimes some teachers that have using old pedagogy and have difficulties to change their methodology of teaching. But as digital transformation as well as green transformation is new and we have to learn, they can be exposed to actually new pedagogies and can change also their old way of teaching, because they see that actually with this new way, with the digital and green transformation, they actually get more impact with the people they train. So was it what I was a bit broader, but does it reply to your question?
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, there's still, I'm sorry, there's still a third question from Mr. Hadi Sutrisno for Mr. Antimos Giorgio. There is a third question about mutual cooperation between tourism vocational school in Indonesia and hotel school in Switzerland.
Excuse me, can you repeat again? What is the?
There is mutual cooperation between tourism vocational school in Indonesia and hotel school in Switzerland.
All right, actually we have a few schools that we cooperate with. Actually, I've been to Jakarta 6 years ago, I think, where in Trisakti. So we have some schools that we cooperate, and we have, let's say, memorandum of working together, but also some students, actually, they come from different Indonesian schools that I know, and there they finish up, they do a top up where they get a bachelor's degree from here. So there is a cooperation, and actually the owner of the school is actually, let's say, he has roots in Indonesia anyways. So there is always a cooperation in general and so on. And that's why I guess I'm here now, because there is a cooperation with our school and the tourism, let's say, ministry there as well. So there is always, and of course there are always opportunities as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much for Mr. Julian Magnat, Mr. Antimos Giorgio, and Mr. Shahrul Firdaus for your presentation. Give applause for them. And also big applause for the question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to thank everybody, to our honorable guest that has given us their knowledge and insight in today's discussion, to all the staff for setting up this amazing panel discussion for us. And lastly, my biggest gratitude for everyone that is participating in today's panel discussion, both online and offline. This has been a wonderful discussion once again. And I'll see you next time, everyone. Thank you very much. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much to Mr. Budi Wibowo for performing wonderfully as our fourth moderator. And of course, thank you to our amazing speakers.
Before we close the session, we would like to invite Mr. Andar Danova as the Director of NHI Bandung Tourism Polytechnic to give appreciation to our speakers and moderator from the fourth panel discussion. For documentation purpose, we will commence the photo session. Mr. Andar Danova, we will lead the documentation. Yes. All right, in 3, 2, and 1. Once again, in 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you to the moderator and speaker, as well as Mr. Andar Danova for doing the honors of giving the appreciation.
Distinguished speakers, tourism academia, researchers, scholar communities, participants, ladies and gentlemen. We have finally arrived to the end of the 4th International Conference on the ASEAN Mutual Recognition Arrangement on Tourism Professionals.
To officially close this conference, we would like to give a warm welcome to the Honorable Mr. Faisal as the Head of Human Resources Development Center, Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of Republic of Indonesia to deliver a closing remark. Without any further ado, Mr. Faisal, the floor is yours.
Thank you, moderator. I really know that being the last session is very difficult to encourage the participant. So I have to speak in a very short and brief to delivering my speech. The Honorable, the Permanent Secretary, as well as the Head of NTO Indonesia, Her Excellency Niwayan Giryadiani, the Honorable, the Deputy for Human Resources and Institution, Her Excellency Martini Muhammad Paham, the Honorable, the Head of ASEAN +3 NTO or representative, the Honorable, the Representative of ASEAN National Tourism Professional Board and Tourism Professional Certification Boards, the Honorable distinguished speakers, be respected, all the students, and then also the honorable ladies and gentlemen. After joining today's discussion, I am pleased to note that we have had fruitful and beneficial deliberation. It is indeed an important meeting considering that its purpose is to enhance the implementation of ASEAN MRA-TP, which hopefully will have a positive impact on our regional cooperation. Distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Government of Indonesia, Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy, I would like to reiterate my sincere thanks and appreciation to NHI Bandung Tourism Polytechnic for organizing this wonderful event. Please give applause for NHI Bandung Tourism Polytechnic. as well as to the all honorable speakers and moderator for sharing your knowledge and experience regarding the best practice implementation ASEAN MRA-TP. Moreover, I would also like to thank all participants for your active participation and contribution to this very important conference. I do hope that through fruitful discussion and sharing today, we will gain more ideas and perspective on how we raise capacity and capability of the tourism human capital through implementation ASEAN MRA-TP. So we can learn from the best practice and innovation solution from ASEAN country members regarding how to integrate it and harmonize informal and non-formal education and training framework, curriculum, module, and assessment certification for tourism higher education like tourism polytechnic, college, and vocational school, as well as training center. So let's work together to continue to accelerate and respond the challenge and opportunity and following up on the result of recommendation of ASEAN MRA-TP conference. Distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, today we are witnessing how favorable and strong international cooperation is vital to accelerate the recovery of the tourism sector, especially after the pandemic afterwards. Therefore, Indonesia believes that together we can overcome this crisis and bring back the community dignity and prosperity through tourism. Finally, I declare the 4th International Conference on MRA-TP is officially closed. See you the next ASEAN MRA-TP event. See you for tomorrow for the Uptain and High Tourism Forum. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hatur nuhun. Terima kasih.
Thank you to Mr. Faisal.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, this marks the end of today's conference. We would like to express our gratitude for all the honorable guests as well as distinguished speakers for joining us in this conference. I am Anthony Sam.
And I am Helsinki Del Grande. We are students of the Travel Department of NHI Bandung Tourism Polytechnic. And it has been our honor to be your Master of Ceremony for today. Thank you for your attention and good afternoon.